In this video, we'll be diving into a new and exciting feature from n8n that supports Model Context Protocol, or MCP. We'll be using MCP to build a server with tools that we can use from a client. So we'll be taking an AI agent and connecting a tool that is based on the MCP client and that connects to the server. And then we'll be incorporating that into an end-to-end workflow, an automation workflow that does research reports. So from a research leader all the way down to an editor, each using a MCP client that connects to that MCP server. We'll also be using the MCP server to connect to Claude Desktop and see the range of reusability and extensibility that we have with MCP servers. Let's first understand what is MCP. This is an open standard that's introduced by Anthropic. The goal of MCP is to provide a universal open standard for connecting AI systems with data sources. And the end result that we want to achieve is to provide a simpler and more reliable way to give AI systems access to the data they need. So let's unpack this. How does MCP work? So MCP is based on a client-server architecture. So on the left, you have a host that contains a MCP client, and this client connects to a MCP server. The server will have tools, resources, and prompts. Tools, it can be an internet research tool like Perplexity, send email like Gmail, or a database access in the myriad of many other tools that are available. So during the initial handshake, the server will communicate what are the capabilities it has. It will go back to the client, and the client will then communicate to the large language model and make that context available to large language model so that it knows as it interacts with the MCP server what capabilities it has. There are transport layers that can be used, a standard I/O and a server-side event transport layer that both are supported within the MCP protocol. Now, the reason why this is a particularly powerful mechanism is because the client does not need to know beforehand what's in the MCP server. This is established at runtime. So this makes the ability for the large language model to connect and use the server a lot more flexible. So you can have a myriad of many different servers, and at runtime, this is then dynamically configured, and the large language model will be able to figure out exactly what server capabilities are available at runtime. So let's see this in action. So I have an AI agent that is a technical analyst leader, and its role is to interpret charts such as this and give me analysis of it. It's connected to this MCP client that then calls into this MCP server. All right, so this MCP server has three tools attached to it: a technical analysis tool, a Perplexity tool that does internet research, and a Gmail tool that sends out the report through Gmail. So the technical analysis tool goes down this path, looks up the exchange, looks up the chart in TradingView, does the visual analysis using AI vision, and then sends a output. And then the Perplexity tool goes down this path here. All right, so let's go ahead and try it. So I'm going to say, please do technical analysis on NVIDIA. So this technical analysis leader will use the Claude 3.7 Sonnet model, and it's going to call into this tool MCP client. So this tool will then call into this workflow here, and it's going to determine that it needs the technical analysis tool and then go down this path here. All right, so this will take a minute, and we'll get the result. So it's completed the analysis, and it gives you a detailed technical analysis for NVIDIA, the technical indicators, the technical outlook, and it gives you the graphs that it looked at. All right, we're going to try to exercise the other two tools from the MCP server. So I'm going to say, please give me a fundamental analysis with up-to-date news and send the report to my email. All right, so we'll go ahead and do that. So once again, what's going to happen here is this AI agent is going to call my MCP client, and this MCP client will connect to this MCP server and exercise now the Perplexity tool and the Gmail tool. So it'll go through this path. So we'll wait for it to complete, and then we'll show the results. All right, after about a minute, it's been able to do the full analysis of the fundamentals, and it sends me a report. So the report is here. It has a fundamental analysis with various metrics, various more details here, valuation metrics, risk factors, and then incorporates also the technical analysis that we saw before, as well as the graph, as well as the citations. Before we look at the next workflow, we're going to look at how these MCP servers are built, as well as how they're connected to the client. So I'll take this as the example that we're using, and what we'll do here is look at a trigger node. So the trigger node, there is now a MCP trigger. So you go MCP trigger, server trigger. So this is what this node here is above. And then what you need to do is just connect it to tools. So you can connect it to one of the many tools that are already pre-built. So in the case of Gmail, I just go to mail here and select this. And then I set my credentials. And for these fields, normally you can just say, let the AI figure out, which is pretty magical. So we'll do that. And then for these nodes here, which connect to a subflow, what you do is you call n8n workflow. And in here, you can name your node. So Perplexity node. And then you can give it a description. So this is very important because this description here, I'll just copy it from here. This description is what is passed into the MCP client when the client and the server first connect. All right, so it takes it directly from this. All right, so you can specify here from expression and workflow ID. All right, so this is going to then route it to this subflow, and it's in this subflow here that you can specify define using fields below. So it needs to pass a message, a string, and an agent and a string type here, right? So that's how you build effectively these two nodes here, right? So you can, I'll just name this Perplexity tool. All right, so, and you repeat the same process on this side, right? So that's how this is built. Now, I'm going to then show how to connect the MCP server to the client. So if you click on here, this is a trigger, and similar to like a webhook trigger, you're going to have a URL. So you can select the production URL, and you can select authentication here as well. So you can give it bearer authentication or header authentication. So we'll just keep it simple and input none for now. And we just select the production URL. And then whenever you're using a MCP client, all you do here is you select a tool, and in here, MCP client is a tool that you'll use. And then this endpoint is, you go back to this production URL here, copy that, and your endpoint here is the URL. So once you've connected it, this tool, when it's called, will then go into this MCP server and then call the appropriate tools. Now, we're going to move to another workflow to illustrate the power of MCP and how this can really benefit from a reuse and extendability point of view. So we've built this in the channel before in a couple other videos where we have a research workflow that consists of a research leader who works with the project planner, and they work with a team of research assistants. And then, of course, the editor then gets the final polish of all the content. Now, I want to illustrate here how you can just plug in the tools that we just created with the MCP server just very easily by adding it as a tool in this each of these nodes. All right, so all I do is I go into here, and then again, I do MCP client, and then similar to what I did before, I copy this production URL, and I point it to the same URL. And now this AI agent here will have access to all the tools that have been defined. So notice I did not need to change anything in the research leader in terms of its prompts or anything like that. One of the powerful things is that all of a sudden, by adding this new node here, it has access to all the three tools in the MCP server. So I can replicate and do this exact same thing across all the AI agents, and now all the AI agents will have access to all these tools. So I'll go ahead and start this workflow, and just for the sake of brevity, I just included here a pinned node that says, here's what I want you to do analysis on, right? So a comprehensive analysis of NVIDIA, including financials, right? So I'll go ahead and run that. This will take a few minutes, so I'll just pause the video while it runs. Now the workflow has completed, and you can see that the new MCP client is being used, and it's calling into the MCP server with the three tools, and then we get the end result here being sent. So now let's say that I want to extend my capabilities. I want to be able to add a new tool and be able to use that in the various workflows. So let's say I want to add a visualization tool, right? So this visualization tool will be able to give me the ability to visualize and show the charts within my workflow. So all I would need to do is add in a new switch here. So I'll just say here, if the agent is equal to visualization, and then I'll put here visualize. All right, so I get a new canvas there, and then I'll connect it to here. And then I can create a new node here, visualization. And then I can name it here, visualization tool. And then I can give it a description. So I'll give it this description here. And then I'll specify here, like before, workflow ID. All right. So what I've done here is now all of a sudden, I've added this new tool within my model context protocol MCP server that is able to do visualizations. All right. So now, without changing anything in this workflow here that we originally ran with the technical analyst leader, I'll have the ability to access that tool. So this will now see 3 tools that are available instead of, or 4 tools instead of 3. And in the same workflow here, without changing any of these nodes, right, all these agents will now have access to this new visualization tool. So that's one of the key extendability of the MCP protocol, that it allows you to add these tools and let the clients of the servers use these tools transparently. So that's very, very powerful. So far, we've been using the MCP server running on n8n and connecting a client to that also running on n8n. Now we're going to switch gears and connect to that server with a MCP client that is running Claude Desktop. Right. So this gives us another set of capabilities and allows us to reuse what we built with the MCP server. So I'll just go and show you how it's set up. So we go to File, Settings, go to Developer, and I've already set this up, but I'll show you the configuration. So you can go to Claude Desktop Config and open this up with your favorite editor. And inside this JSON file, you just specify that it's a MCP server. What's the name of that server? The command that you want to run. So in this case, it's a boilerplate MPX, and we're going to use this super gateway to help connect Claude to my n8n MCP. And then this is the same URL as the one that you used in the MCP client within n8n. So once you do that, now that same has access to the tools, right? So that the same server that we're using that surfaces the tools, now I have access to that within Claude. So I can just do a new chat, and you can see here there's the 3 tools there. So a Gmail, Perplexity tool, and the technical analysis tool. And then I'm going to go here and I'm going to say, please do technical analysis for NVIDIA. All right, so what it's going to do here is now, all right, so it's asking, oh, can I use this tool, right? So I said yes, so it recognizes that it needs to connect to the MCP server and run this analysis. So it'll do that. So this will take a moment while it goes through my n8n backend with MCP server. All right, now it's completed the analysis here. And then I can also show the image. So in a similar manner, you can ask questions that use the other tools within our n8n MCP server. One last thing to close is that as MCP becomes more and more popular and adopted in the industry, we're seeing a lot of ecosystem built around that. So for example, in this Git repo, we have a list of awesome MCP servers, and there's just a ton to work with. So, if you're working with databases, data platforms, or developer tools, you can go to any one of these and uh, click further in, and you'll get similar type of instructions as we saw before, where you have an MCP server, you specify the command, and now all of a sudden, Cloud Desktop will have additional capabilities that it can use without changing any of the clients. So very, very powerful.